welcome to Raidlore Stories. Today's lore story is for Skullcrusher, an epic who looks like they recently got a new lore story. They didn't have one before, so let's check it out. Few Ogren mercenaries are more highly prized than the Skullcrushers. Clad in heavy war plate scraps made of iron and looted mail, and bearing heavy-bladed barbed axes, they make for imposing opponents. In battle, they can be found acting as bodyguards for important commanders or striding into the thick of the fighting as a tip of an indomitable counterattack. The origin of the Skullcrushers occurred during the War of the Elves. A few Ogren mercenaries, tired of enduring the volleys from Arabian archers while serving the Dark Elves, crafted better armor for themselves out of scraps left on the battlefield. Prior to this, the Ogren warriors had only worn crude war plate, but with the addition of Arabian mail, their armor was better able to resist the enemy's arrows. Thus warded, they proved themselves to be a dangerous addition to the Dark Elves' forces. Their employers found that a phalanx of Skullcrushers was almost an army in and of itself. They were all but unstoppable on the field, capable of smashing a gaping hole in even the strongest enemy battle lines and enduring storms of arrows and crossbow bolts. The Skullcrushers also made indomitable bodyguards, willing and able to protect their charges against any foe, almost no matter how large or terrifying, due to their faith in the impregnable of their armor and the fear of their reputation came to inspire. This unshakable confidence ensured that Skullcrushers would fight on even as their allies retreated, making them the perfect rearguard. The Ogren took pride in their reputation for courage and movability, and these led the ranks of the Skullcrushers to never depleted for long. Those who joined the group took to marking their helms with a smear of enemy blood as proof of their ferocity. Selling their services the highest bidder, the Skullcrushers have since fought on hundreds of battlefields across Anhalt under the banners of the Free Cities, Aravia, and their old masters, the Dark Elves. They even made their presence felt in the Lost Isles and parts of Peltas on occasion. Recently, the Ogre known as Traguk Hammerjaw has assumed overall command of the Skullcrushers after the death of the previous chieftain, Juke Snapjaw, at Lonely Marsh. Traguk is the very epitome of a Skullcrusher, stubborn to the point of obstinate and insanely violent. Larger than his fellows and fiercer by far, he is also cannier than any of his would-be employers. Expect of all Ogren. The presence of the Skullcrushers can often determine the difference between victory and defeat, and Traguk has mastered the art of opportune renegotiation. He has learned that employers are often more than happy to double or even triple the Ogren's pay to ensure that the fight goes their way. And if they're not, Traguk is perfectly willing to reposition Skullcrushers away from the thick of the fighting. This tactic has earned Traguk and the Skullcrushers the ire of more than one former employer. In one instance at the Battle of Briarford, the Bannerlord of Karak, who had hired the Ogren, refused to give in to extortion and instead ordered elements of his forces to attack the mercenaries at the clash's height. What persuaded him to attack his own forces, albeit reluctant elementals, is not known. Whatever the reason, Traguk's response was as swift as it was brutal. He led his warriors in a crushing counterattack that all but gutted their former employer's forces and handed victory to the enemy, who quickly agreed that Traguk's subsequent demand for payment for services rendered. Okay, guys, this is a story for Skullcrusher, and as we've kind of seen with epics, it's a lot of times whatever their name is tends to be like a rank or a grouping, not necessarily individual. However, what we are noticing is a common theme with the epic champs is that while, like I said, their name isn't necessarily a single identity, they do start mentioning these single solo champs, which would make me think that this is probably who they're representing, right? So in this case, the Skullcrusher that we're playing is probably this Traguk Hammerjaw, who happens to be now the commander of the Skullcrushers, right? I'd love to know what you guys think for the lore story of Skullcrusher. Drop me a comment down below, and thanks for watching.